When you talk about what someone's wearing that people don't remember what you had on, they remember that you looked good.
Yeah.
I don't really remember even what I ate yesterday.
For me, it's about making them aware about what messages they could be sending that they don't know of, and then try to guide them into the direction of what it is that they do want their clothes to say about them.
It's hard to find good places on the island to shop. But I also think it's not just what the merchandise is that they have, but the entire experience of going shopping.
So then the psychological tricks that would influence people to buy would be to take all the senses into account. So
Absolutely, you got it. I want men to stop wearing tight pants. They do not need to hug your body in any way, shape, or form.
3, 2, 1.
Hey everyone, I'm Mauro.
And I'm Julia, and welcome back to another episode of Self-Making.
Guys, me quero avisar again, thank you for the support. This is episode number 6, Dime con Julia junto.
Time's flying.
It was almost number 7 because our episode with Rayan almost became a 2-part also.
Yes.
We're going to try to keep it under 1 hour. Let's try and do that.
That's our goal for today.
That's our goal. If it doesn't happen, then it doesn't
And then
happen.
what happened? Oh, okay. So no consequences whatsoever?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Because I don't want to think of one right now.
Okay,
so it's
fine.
Cool.
Fair.
Before we introduce our guest for today, we want to say thank you to our 2 sponsors, which are Koyman and Ahata. Thank you for supporting us and making these interviews possible. We're having a lot of fun. We're getting to know new people, and we're putting out valuable content for all our followers. So thank you, Ahata, and thank you, Koyman. Julia? Que no se abre.
Awe nos cinco nos. Ali Hector. Welcome, Ali.
Thank you for having me.
How do you feel?
I feel excited to be here.
Yeah?
I feel like it's a long time coming.
Tambe, was agora Alicia tata sinta aqui na.
Really?
She was like, Mauro, I don't know if you know, pero papunta namin 2 años pasado pa tayo podcast, and then it
disappeared.
Just been 2 years. Yeah. Mapunta ba sa tempo pasado sito?
No.
What was it?
No, we just had a conversation about me working behind the scenes.
Okay.
But then that didn't.
Pero may mention ang podcast o hindi no?
The podcast was already on when that conversation was happening,
Okay.
but it wasn't to be on the podcast.
When you mean behind the scenes, you mean like helping him with his
Maybe.
look?
Yes.
Maybe.
Got it.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, nice. And then what happened? You ghosted her.
Nada, I just disappeared. Me tinha tendency, me tayo impulsive. Me sa thought di man damn, it would be cool to have like a stylist.
It would be cool, yeah.
And then I don't know. I get over it.
I mean, it wasn't the right time, so now we're here.
True, everything happens for a reason. And Alicia's video is also awesome.
Shit.
Doing it together, so I think it worked out the way it was supposed to. And now you're here, and
now
we're
I'm
very,
here.
very excited.
Yes, I'm very excited. Thank you,
So,
guys.
Ali, I know you've had quite a diverse career up until this point. You know, you studied event management in Canada. I know you came back to Aruba for a while, and you were in advertising.
Yes.
Then you lived in New York City for 8 years.
Correct.
Where you worked for like a healthcare company that mainly focused on kids with special needs.
That's right.
Do you want to tell us how that experience was like?
Oh, wow. That experience was, honestly, that job, that career is really what formed me into who I am today. I've learned a lot about my professional skills and developed my professional skills and my leadership skills also at that company. I started off as a receptionist, worked my way up. I got the job, first of all, because I in New York, you know, as a girl speaking Spanish, and I got the job because I excelled in the language. Still do. And then
Multilingual.
Yeah.
Queen.
Yeah, so that's how I got the job, and then I started working my way up into the company, and was there for 8 years. I had a really good time. I was part of the leadership club. Actually, they selected some of their top performing employees, and I was one of those people that was part of that leadership club, and we were a group of people that were mentored by the VP and the HR people, and I learned a lot. It was very, very stressful a job, but met really great people that I'm still friends with today. And it really was the start of my journey in figuring out how to use fashion in my professional life.
Were you in the States for 8 years or at the company for 8 years?
Both.
Okay. So you arrived and you started working at that company right away?
Yeah.
Wow. Damn.
And well, what happened, so my cousin worked for the company, and through conversation, she was telling me, yeah, I sat in an interview with somebody because they're looking for a receptionist that speaks Spanish. And she's talking, and I'm like, excuse me, why didn't you tell me about this job? And she was, you would want to answer phones. And I'm like, why not? I need a job. I'm in New York. I don't know anybody. I don't have any connections. I will answer phones. So that's how I got in. They started talking to me in Spanish during the interview. Di biyahe mahaya trabaho.
Na switch up rin pa test po Spanish.
Yes, they did. Yeah, because
you have to.
They wanted to make sure that I knew what I was talking about, and if I could actually also talk to people about the subject that the company was, for special needs. Yeah, healthcare. So yeah, that's how I got the job.
Yeah, because it would be a bit awkward if they just didn't test your Spanish and they'd answer you like, hola, ¿cómo estás?
You're right.
¿Dónde está la biblioteca?
Yeah.
No sé.
No.
Shout out to Shark.
Is that the YouTube video, by the way? Or not?
What?
The thing you just said? Because I remember like a super old YouTube video. Que te llama, no sé, ¿qué hora es? Or something like that. Is it from
I don't
there?
know. It might be.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I know that was always a meme for people that didn't speak it very well. That one of the first sentences you learn in Spanish class is "¿Dónde está la biblioteca?" Which is not, which is very outdated now, right? Because who goes to the library anymore?
I'll show you the video because I've seen the full video. It's actually very funny.
Okay, I'm curious to see that actually.
Going back to Ali, sorry.
And the biblioteca.
That was good.
Based on the intro that Julia gave and listening to you now, the fact that you got to live in New York though, and you had a good job, something going for you. To me, that sounds very interesting and fun. So the first question that comes to mind is, why would you want to come back to Aruba?
So the reason why I came back, what started everything for me was that my father passed away in 2013. It happened very fast. My sisters and I, we found out that he had cancer in the 2012, we found out that he had cancer, August. And by April 2013, he was gone. So everything kind of happened really, really fast. And it threw our lives completely upside down. There was also a lot of stress and pressure. There was just a lot of things that were happening at the same time, and nothing felt right anymore. And I just felt like it was time to leave New York because I was having a good time. I was living my Sex and the City life. But once my father passed away, I had to really put things in perspective for myself and figure out, okay, what is it that we're actually doing? What do we want to do with our lives? And then I was like, you know what? I think it's time to go home. So that's how I came back.
Are you happy here? Do you see yourself moving away again?
I don't see myself moving away again. This is a question that people ask me all the time. And right now, I feel like Aruba is home. My sisters live in London. My mom is the only one who is here with me. But it still feels like home. I at this moment, I would not want to live anywhere else, even though I do miss elements of being in the big city. I love the access of meeting so many people. I love the ability of going to a restaurant, sitting at the bar and meeting new people every single day, or talking to somebody about really personal things that you may never see again. I miss that. I miss walking down the street and nobody knowing who you are, knowing your business.
Absolutely.
And I miss the ability of being able to reinvent yourself every single day without people questioning what it is that you're doing and your reasons for doing it. That small town mentality.
Yeah.
That's what I miss. But I find ways to, how do you say? I found ways to have those experiences on the island. It's difficult because to constantly push yourself to try new things, probably even by yourself, right? And then sometimes you run into people that you're like, oh, I don't know this person. And sometimes you talk to some strangers, some of them are visitors on the island, and so I find ways to create that when I feel that I need it. But Aruba is home. I was driving here today, and the sunset looked absolutely beautiful, and it sounds really cliche, but I really love that. I really love driving in my car and watching the sunset with my music blasting in my car, and I don't see that happening many other places.
Yeah.
But you know what? Life is full of surprises. Maybe ask me next year. I don't know.
I was going to say, I feel like for people that live on the island and they have friends or family abroad, you get asked that a lot. Like, oh, do you see yourself moving away, as if this is always just going to be a temporary thing?
Yeah.
But also in the expectation of you knowing that in 5-year time you're going to move away. No one really knows that, right? And I think that if in the present being you're enjoying the situation, what you're getting out of it, that's okay too, to not know whether or not you're going to stay or go. But yeah, I feel like with big cities, also having studied and lived in the Netherlands, there's a level of spontaneity to it, right? Like what you were mentioning, no one knows who you are. You can reinvent yourself. I think it's a lot easier to go do things with people. And like you said, especially if you live alone in a city where you don't have many friends or family, it pushes you outside of your comfort zone to talk to strangers.
Yeah. I love talking to strangers.
Yeah.
I honestly, it's one of my favorite things to
Which
do.
actually leads perfectly into our game.
I just knew it. I knew it. I knew she was going to say this is a perfect segue into our game.
Into our game.
Okay.
Ali, I'm not sure if you've seen our episodes thus far.
Not yet. I've seen the clips.
Ooh.
I want it to be fresh and green sitting in this chair.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Nice save.
Well, one of the games that we've played with every guest up until this point, it's a conversational game. It's called We're Not Really Strangers.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of it?
No.
Okay. So I really like this game.
I'm scared.
Don't be.
But also excited.
No, it's nice. So
Okay.
it's a conversational game that's built out of 3 levels. The first one is first impression or perception. Second one is connection, and the third one is reflection. So the idea is if you were to play it through, that it really builds up questions in a way that you can hit it deep at a certain point.
Okay.
But it doesn't start out that way. It's not like what's your childhood trauma or anything like that.
Let's not do that.
No, it's just so we get to know you better.
No, let's do it. I'm for it. Yeah.
So we're going to play a couple of rounds of level 1, which is perception. So you can pick any
One
card.
card.
Pick a card.
from the top, from the middle, from the bottom.
Wherever you want. Wherever
Okay.
you want.
I wouldn't do bottom because I feel like those were questions we've had with the previous guests. Yes.
Let's do it.
And then I get to read it?
You read it out loud.
Okay. Here we go. Wait, let me take off my glasses to read.
I thought you needed it to read.
No, actually, no. Okay. How many speeding tickets do you think I've gotten in my life? Ooh, this is a good one. Yes.
Speeding tickets.
Yes.
You know, I got to be honest. I don't think Aruba does a very good job at like controlar. Unless it's end of the year when they need to reach a certain quota. That's my...
I'm going to say 4. 3, 4.
4. Speeding to... Maybe 1.
3, 4.
I think
you
1.
don't look like you drive slow.
But I don't think
I
she
don't
would
know.
get speeding tickets. I don't
Nah,
think people...
Yeah, te muestra mucho wild.
I wasn't...
I feel like a compliment.
It is.
You don't look
Do I-
like you drive below 40 or 50.
Okay. Do I answer now? Not yet.
She has to
Okay.
guess, she has to guess.
I think maybe 1. But again, I think it's just because police not echt riba.
Yeah, but she lived in the
But
States.
she's
no?
not gonna.
Maybe she
But you
drove
didn't
there.
drive in the city. Big city is all about public transport. You would know if you lived in a big city.
I lived in a big city.
Oh, and you drove?
No.
Oh.
But some people do.
Okay, well.
What's the answer? 0?
The answer is 0.
I know.
But you are very true in that I do not drive slow.
Speed demon.
I keep myself to the limit. But I do live in San Nicolas.
What?
I live in San Nicolas, and when you gotta go, you gotta go. You gotta go to places. Nothing is 10 minutes away. So you have to schedule your day. You have to know exactly how long it's gonna take you to get from point A to point B. Which is what a lot of people don't talk about living in San Nicolas, like the amount of planning that is involved
And
scheduling of your life to make sure that everything you get on time, you get things done. So
And also,
yes,
like-
but I've proudly never gotten a speeding ticket.
Nice.
Yes.
At least we don't have like a criminal as a guest or anything, you know?
Speeding is not a crime. I mean,
it could be.
Basi, let's do two more, by the way.
Two more?
Two more.
Okay. About perception?
Uh-huh.
These are all about
Sí, sí.
perception. Okay,
Exactly.
This is fun. Okay. I should get this game. Is there an app for this game?
We'll get you one.
Maybe.
We're working on it.
Okay. Who do you think my celebrity crush is?
I think Mona needs to answer this.
Huh? Okay, let me ask a question though. Give me some sort of hint of what your type is, and I can guess based on that. Algo.
When you say type, you're talking about body. We're talking about personality.
Whatever the first thing is that comes to mind for you.
Ethnicity. Is it?
Well,
maybe you're into like Asian guys, and I just say like a Caucasian or
right. Well, I love a chocolate brother. I love it. Tall.
Okay, below 35 or
Handsome.
above
Tall, dark, and
45?
handsome.
Age-wise?
What did you just say?
Oh, age, like
Yeah,
age.
below 35 or above.
That's the perfect
Debatable?
bracket.
See?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Around there.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan? No? Idris Elba?
Actually, oh wow, like this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Idris is up there.
Aaron. Kuya Meson di Aaron Pierre. That's Mufasa.
That's Aaron Pierre.
Oh,
That's
Aaron
in the
Pierre.
song.
Yes,
They're
yeah.
singing his name.
I was joking.
Yeah, no, but he's a little too pretty.
Okay.
Oh.
Like Idris is
Rough around the edges.
Yes, we like that.
Kaya ito gewoon safe bet. Cualquier
Yes.
hindi ko bisa, hindi mo ko bisa kung nantami ko sa guys ko, but just bisa Idris Elba.
But
and it's safe.
I also really love Brad Pitt.
Oh.
I have.
Serio?
Yes.
He's like a white boy.
I just
Like a Barbie.
I've loved him since Legends of the Fall. If you guys haven't seen it, you should watch it. With his long hair.
That's why she wants. No, I'm just kidding.
That segues, bro.
And then just to see his evolution as an adult, you know. Yeah, I mean, he's had some, trouble with his family and stuff like that, and alcoholism and all that, but he's very handsome. Yes.
Brad Pitt.
So I'm
Yes.
gonna guess.
I think you had good
Kiko lo
guesses.
todo guess. No cheating. Open up a bisa Brad Pitt sowieso af Idris Elba.
I'm not. No.
I love this conversation.
Oh no, I don't know. I'm like literally drawing a blank
blanking
on
No,
names.
I
on
mean,
names.
it's okay.
I'm gonna guess tres numbers. Dus unirando pa, but it's fine.
Thank
Michael
you.
B. Jordan would be good, but again, he's too pretty.
But Brad Pitt isn't pretty?
He is very pretty. But he is also a little like, he has a little bit of edge, like you could see
I
him
respect it.
being a little bit of a bad boy. Yes, even though he's a little pretty.
But gustando Vega, by the way?
I love it.
No sé por vindo nos guest un caja in the future.
Oh,
maybe.
that's that.
So we'll
I
work
would.
on it.
This is fantastic.
Bambo mas. Let's do one more.
Okay. Let's see. Let's go one from the top this time. Okay. No, wait. This is the same one. I put it on the top.
Put it back on the top.
Maybe we need to shuffle it a little bit. I'm horrible at this.
Nice shuffle.
Okay. What do my shoes tell you about me?
Say the miss from the Alicia.
Really?
Grab another one.
Wait, but I want to see her shoes. She's literally
okay, you
a
can say
stylist.
I had an awkward time with that answer last time.
You did?
See, but I was like observing, and then she's like, "Damn, you keep staring at my feet," and I was like, "Oh, what's up?"
Are they little kitten heels? Okay.
Should
Are
I
you
just
thinking as well?
should
or
I
no?
should
Hey,
I
Mike knows the picking ball.
should I
Are you thinking as well or no?
should I describe for our people the shoes
Describe
that
them,
I'm
sure.
wearing?
Yes.
Okay, so they are kitten heeled flip flops or thong sandals is what we would call them, and these are 100% leather,
Ooh.
and they have a square top. They're not pointy.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, because I got
No,
clue what I'm about to say.
I'm gonna take a little.
I can like make something up.
I like that you specifically said that they're leather. So it tells me that you like investing in quality pieces or things that if you wear a lot and use often, that they go the distance. So you definitely look for that. I think the fact that there's slipper/kitten heels, it's giving hybrid. It's giving liking to mix things up. So different styles coming together.
Look at her.
Wow.
Look at her.
She's
Be
painting
honest.
this fucking picture.
Yes,
No,
yes.
no, go ahead.
It's
fine.
great. This is fun.
And I like that you paired it with like what you see in the top half now, right? It's giving academic.
Ooh.
And then you have a little party on the bottom showing some toe, showing some slipper.
Island vibes.
Yeah. You like, I don't know how else to describe it. It is a good heel for Aruba, actually.
Yeah, so actually these are from Zara. Propaganda no paga. Yeah, they're 100% leather from, so Zara does offer sometimes, but you do have to look for them. And I do get the leather shoes from Zara only because our temperature here is so warm that they don't go the distance. They don't last.
True.
So I just decided I'm not going to buy any shoes that I'm going to throw out in the trash because they are falling apart. I just hate that feeling.
It's true. And actually, you know what? Where I notice it happens the most, if you leave it in your closet. And your closet gets warm and you don't use it, and then you go to use it and it just like falls apart.
It like literally crumbles in your hands. Same thing with purses, wallets, bags,
anything with leather,
clutches, anything that is
plasticky.
made with a pleather or plastic substance. It just completely disintegrates.
Yeah. I have a story time that's kind of funny. I had these hiking shoes. I'm not a hiker. There's nowhere to hike on Aruba that's hilly, mountainy. But I had these hiking shoes stored in the back of my closet. And when I was 19, we went on this Alaskan cruise for my grandmother's 90th because that was one of her bucket list wishes. And one of the activities was that we were going on this glacier and we needed hiking shoes. So I brought these hiking shoes with me. They still fit. And I get off the boat wearing them. And I literally take maybe like 50 steps. And the bottom sole completely detaches from my boot. And mind you, it's freezing cold in Alaska. It's snowy. And I literally... and we were in the middle of God knows where. I had to duct tape my shoe to my foot and go to the glacier like that. Anyway, so yeah, I had no base or anything. So that was like one of those things.
That was the experience of having, so you had that shoe for a long time.
Yeah. And it was leather, but the bottom was rubber. And you know, when I think it's the glue, it like separates.
Yeah, when it's in heat, it like, it melts basically.
And the fact that I didn't know that before the actual excursion was just icing on the cake, to be honest.
And it was cold in the sun,
Anyway,
was that the story time because it's funny. So the building we just bought in Playa, the yellow one, when we bought it, it was an old Shubalu. And then they left like a lot of these old boxes in there, like no exaggeration, over 100, 200 boxes of like just pairs of shoes.
What? There were shoes in there?
Yeah, still.
Oh, wow.
The building that we just renovated. So it was like a Shubalu. So when we bought it and went in, there were like boxes of like old Vans and stuff like that.
That's
even like
crazy.
Skull Candy headphones, everything. And then like some of them, you just open the box and they're like just melted and disintegrated. But some of them looked like intact. So we just did like this sort of garage sale where it was like, hey, you can buy sneakers for like 5 florins. And I posted on my story and everything. And then there were these pairs of sneakers, size 10 for guys. And they looked brand new. The colors were, vibrant, everything. So I gave them to Claudia's boyfriend, Patrick. And then we went to play paddle. And then he put on the sneakers. He like did a few jumps and he was like, yo, this is great. It's comfortable, everything. So we get on the court. I serve the ball. The guy runs 5 steps. And during those steps, it just fucking... it fell apart.
Completely.
So it was like the sole and then the laces and everything. It was like 5 steps and he left like the shoe decomposed behind him. It was so funny.
Oh my God. So did he tennis barefoot?
No, then...
The game was over.
Yeah,
that was it?
I don't even know what happened. I don't even know what happened.
You laughed so hard, you're like,
that was so funny. But imagine the funny part with just the image on the side.
Wow.
No, me puedo imaginar.
But yeah, everything basically broke that was in the store for years because it was super hot.
I mean, yeah.
I was about to ask why would they leave all that behind, and now it makes sense.
Yeah.
A mess for you to clean up. We did, yeah. Okay, holy cow.
Papi, how did we even get here, by the way? Glue?
Because of your question about my shoes.
Holy shit! I didn't even give my take. Okay, I can give it.
Yes, what was your take?
Definitely. No, the naman ni Julia.
It's okay.
So I say since it's leather, it looks dressed up and classy, but since it's square and wide, it's also comfortable instead of like the narrow one. So it's like a hybrid of comfort and looking good. That's my analysis. To the point.
And it's a kitten heel, so yeah, comfort in the...
Woohoo!
That's all you have to say. But I actually really like what you're wearing up top as well.
Thank you very much.
A little tie action.
Yeah, so this tie...
Do tell us.
I got it. I thrifted it actually from Super Thrift. Do you guys know about the thrift
On Aruba?
store? Yeah.
I need to go visit.
Yes.
I'm gonna go sagutoting.
Yes, it's massive. And one of the wonderful things about Super Thrift is that they nandari ko daw fondo pa manda gente pa rehab. So it's one of those places where you can go and you buy anything thrifted. I even got a very old Singer sewing machine. Like an antique-y looking one. And
so it's not just clothes then?
No, they have like different things there.
Nice.
And they have this huge like bin of like ties. And some of them are 100% silk. You can get really nice things. And I found this one. I was looking for ties for a production that I was shooting. And it was 5 guilders. And yeah.
You couldn't pass up.
I couldn't pass up. I was like, and it has flowers.
No,
It's
it's awesome.
cute. Yeah.
One of my favorite
vintage.
things in my closet at the moment. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
That's so cool to know. That's so cool to know. And an accessory, do you also wear it in different ways or just always classic
No,
up?
I always, yes, I'm very traditional in that sense. So yeah, I only wear it as a tie.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Before we go into the next part, there was something you said in the introduction that I feel like could be like a nice bridge, or I wanted to ask about. Okay. You mentioned about your job in New York City, and you said that there was a certain point where you used fashion within the scaling, because you said over 8 years, I'm imagining you scaled up. What was the last position that you ended it with, the job?
So I ended up. So I started off as a receptionist and then worked my way into being what they call an administrative assistant for one of the departments that provided services to children 3 to 5. Was then the staffing coordinator, and then what that means is that I was responsible for compliance and staffing the teachers, speech pathologists, PTs, OTs, occupational therapists, sending them out to the daycares to treat children with special needs. And then I became the director for the department and oversaw different departments in all the boroughs in New York, Staten Island, Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Bronx. And then I also did staffing for the 0 to 3 program in Brooklyn. So those are all of the positions that I had.
So going back on what you said, how do you feel like fashion helped you with that?
Yeah. So oh my God, I've told this story so many times, but it's great because it really, really reminds me about my start and how I use fashion to turn things around for myself. So I was working as the staffing coordinator, and there was a new person that joined our department. And at the time, I just felt like this person was we were not really gelling, together in the department. And I felt that I was really being undermined, like my skills were being undermined, my skills were being questioned. There was always these moments where you are at work and you run into people that question, whether you are capable to do the job or not. And I really felt like my job could be on the line because of this person. And I had moments where I would go to the bathroom and cry because there was just so much stress and so much pressure to perform, and do things right. And then my ex-husband, he gave me a book, The Art of War for Women in Business. And there was something that there was a paragraph or chapter where they talked about using your clothes as an armor. And I decided, okay. And it really took me back to, okay, I know what to do. I know how to dress well. I just haven't been doing it at work because the work environment at the time, some people would, go in their hoodies, or some people would dress up. It really depends like what your job was. If you were someone that had to just be in the office all the time, you may not always dress up. But on days where you would have a meeting with the Department of Health or the Department of Education, you would then dress up for those situations. But it wasn't like a day-to-day must. And I just, fell into that kind of like a mini rut, So I decided, you know what, I'm going to use this moment to use my wardrobe as an armor, to just say like, I got this. I I know what I'm doing. I know this job. And I started picking out my outfits before going into work. I would copy outfits from Michelle Obama because she was in the White House at the time, and making waves because she was wearing sleeveless dresses, and people were questioning whether that was professional or not. And we're still having that conversation to this day, especially here on the island. But yeah, so I just took that and I said, okay, I'm gonna do this. And the thing that surprised me is that not how much I was the perception of my skills, how much that my clothing helped, but what surprised me is how confident it made me, right? So it's not just about how people see you, but it's about how you see yourself. And dressing up at work really, really gave me that confidence to stand in my shoes and to sit in those meetings saying and feeling like I belonged there. Like I belonged sitting next to the VP and the director and the CFOs. Like I was dressing to their level and to their standards. And I believe that is what gave me the confidence to keep going up into the professional ladder and making it as far as I did. It's one of the things that definitely helped me.
Was this feeling that you got what fueled you to want to do this, what you do now in the first place?
So I think it was the catalyst to it, because I came back to, well, actually, let me go back. So once I started just, dressing up a little bit more and paying more attention about how I looked, my coworkers would ask me to help them with their clothing for special occasions.
Nice.
So I have a friend of mine, Katie, that we used to work together. We're still friends to this day. She asked me to dress her for her best friend's wedding, and her best friend was actually the groom, and she was going to be standing with the side of the groomsmen, and asked me to dress her to stand next to him, with the other groomsmen. So we found her a beautiful dress that could also look like a tuxedo slide suit, and so she looked really, really great. And then my director, who's also still a friend to this day, Elizabeth, her daughter had to go to a prom, and she didn't want to go shopping with her daughter because they would always fight. And she just said, Ali, here's the credit card, please go shopping with her. And I'm like, sure, no problem. So that was kind of like,
that was the first time, right?
That was one of the first things that kind of happened. And then I came back to Aruba, and people started to see that in me as well, including Rosabel Illes, who both of you and most people know.
Chuchi.
Chuchi. So she asked me to go shopping with her. She was going to do a photo shoot, and she actually had to go to D-Shop. So this was at D-Shop before D-Shop was in the huge building that they have now. And so she had to be in, I think it was Express magazine at the time. I don't remember which magazine it was, but it's no longer in print. So we went there looking for clothes, and then she called me and she says, Ali, I'm here. I need to go look for clothes for this photo shoot. I don't know what I'm going to get. I don't even know what to look for in D-Shop. I never shop here. Please binyudami. So, mabayude, anto ela ko baywara ding paskamer while I was picking out clothes, and gave her a whole bunch of stuff, and in less than an hour she had an outfit, and and both of us felt really, really good. I was so happy that, you
could find something and create something.
But just the adrenaline of putting outfits together and mixing and matching, and and she just loved the idea of just standing in the
letting you shop for
in the
her
sitting room and just be bringing clothes to her. And so that's what started kind of, and then she said, I'm gonna have a lot of things that I need to be performing. She had just taken out her book title, and she was going to a lot of places and hosting a lot of events. And she asked me to style her for these events, and that kind of made it into what it is today. It was really just a passion that fueled into what I'm doing today. Very organically, I have to say.
So
Love
going
that.
to what you have today, your brand and your social media is called Judged by Ali.
Judged by Ali, yeah.
A minha da Julia também, para mim, Bianca, conhecer what she thought it was what? Suzette?
Suzette, I thought you had an Arabic name. Suzette Ali.
That's the first one. That's first, yeah.
It sounded very exotic at least.
Yeah, well, okay.
Como llegar el nombre?
So when she started, Rosabel, again, when she started posting, because back in the day, people were a lot more intentional about what they were posting, and she would post, hey, I performed here, I did this, I did that, and she would said, since you're dressing me, we should come up with a hashtag for that, that I can add, when you're dressing me. And then I thought, okay, that could be cute, But what hashtag should it be? And I spent some time literally in my room on my bed, just scrolling on Googling words that meant like to style this, that, styled by Ali, or this, but I wanted something that felt more
oomph. It had more
yes,
oomph.
And I wanted it to be different. And then I remembered or stumbled on the word zhuzh. And zhuzh means to make something more beautiful or interesting. And it's a word that Carson Kressley of Queer for the Stray Guy, which is now on Netflix, but this is the second generation. I'm talking about the first generation that was on Bravo back in the day. And he would use that word, let me judge you. So, or you say, we can judge the recipe or judge the roux. Like, people will just say that to make it more.
Judge it up.
To judge it up, exactly. So I decided I wanted to turn this word into a verb and added the ed, judged by Ali.
Love it.
That's how I
came up with it. I've heard of the word, but I have never seen it written. So that's why I'm like, how do I say this?
Yeah.
I feel like we should come up with our own hashtag for our podcast. Now that she's saying that, to have something that sticks.
I don't know, not right now.
You're putting her on the spot.
It took you so many hours.
It took me a while to find. Like, it took me a while to come with. I came up with I don't remember what I came up with before. I came up with Judged by Ali.
It's a process.
Yeah, but as soon as I landed on that, and I was sharing it with my sister Janelle, and sharing it also with Rosabel, and then when I got to Judged by Ali, they were like, "Oh wow, this is actually really good."
You knew that's what it was.
Yeah, and the handle of Instagram was available as well. And
you snatched it up, and now one knows there can be no other Judged by Ali.
There's only one.
Only one.
Yes.
One thing you mentioned about Rosabel, about her being perfectly okay with just standing there and letting you do the shopping. I feel like that's a very common experience where there are so many people that just hate the idea and the experience of going shopping. Like, I personally love it, but I think I experience it differently. I see it like as a treasure hunt. Like, what can I find? And for instance, my mom and I are very different shoppers. She goes in, she's like, I need white pants. And she'll go into a store. If there are no white pants that she likes, she's out of there. She doesn't have to browse. She doesn't have to see anything else. Where I'm like, wait, let's look around. Let's see what's here. And I just wanted to add that in because I feel like shopping for everyone is so different. So I can imagine for you, if you see it as like a...
Well, I have to say that it depends also. Everybody has a phase in where the shopping can be good or bad experiences for them, depending on where you are in life. I remember when I had first moved to New York, unemployed, recently married, and lived on the island for about a year and a half, and then went to live in New York and experiencing the changing seasons. I definitely felt like I was lost. I would leave my house, go to Target, and with the intention to buy, and leave with nothing. And being really, really disappointed and sad that I couldn't choose anything. And I couldn't understand why why I felt so overwhelmed by all of the choices, because you come from a small island. Well, you have the selection of the store,
right?
But now you are in a big city and you could have anything you want, and that to me was extremely overwhelming. I remember going up I can even see myself going up the escalator and holding back tears, because I knew I didn't like how I was dressing. I didn't like how I looked. And I was kind of like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I'm in New York City. I live here. I have this life, and I do not know what to buy for myself. And I had a conversation with my mom, and she said, well, Ali, you do have to remember that you're now only dressing because you are cold. So your priority is being warm. So as soon as she said that, a light, went off. I'm like, that's right. I am cold all the time, which is why
I'm unhappy.
I'm unhappy because I don't. So once I figured out what was stopping me from figuring out, what I wanted, how I wanted to dress, then I kind of like found my way again. But it really it could happen to anybody. You could lose weight, you could gain weight, you could marry, you could divorce, and then all of a sudden you think you know what you want to shop, and then you don't.
Yeah, it almost sounds like you're grappling with like a sense of identity.
It is.
You don't know who you are.
Yes.
Or you've become a new version of yourself.
Absolutely.
That you haven't reflected on, maybe, or maybe there are insecurities that pop up that make shopping less enjoyable.
Yep.
Are there any I'm imagining that clients you have as a stylist, I'm sure you psychologically go through that process a little bit, right? Where you have to make them fall in love a little bit with shopping and fashion. You're not going to be like, here, try this on, and then expect them to feel confident. So I'm imagining there's a lot of talking to your clients. What does that process look like for you to get them to feel more confident in what you put them in?
So my process really, it's not necessarily about like falling in love with fashion or trying to convince them otherwise that they don't love shopping. It's more about it's a lot about loving like who they are and finding out who they are. So my process is, I say I'd like to style from the inside out. So have conversations first with people about where they are in life, where do they want to go, how do they see themselves, what do they think their clothes say about them currently, what do they wish their clothes said about them. And then we start, talking about how you see yourself and how do you think people see you. And obviously clothes, they send a message. Fashion talks, clothes talk. Even though when you don't think that you're sending a message, you are sending a message. Like earlier you said that I looked very academic, right? So that is the message that my wardrobe is sending today. But some people are not aware of what their clothes are saying about them. So for me, it's about making them aware about what their clothes is saying about them and what messages they could be sending that they don't know of. And then try to guide them into the direction with the proper selection of clothing of what it is that they do want their clothes to say about them. What are the qualities that you want to highlight about yourself using your wardrobe? And then we go into the closet.
Cool. I remember I really like that explanation because it is true. It is a lot about like internally how you feel, that you can look in a mirror and say, I look good. It doesn't really matter what you're wearing actually, but I look good. There was something you had said when we had I didn't really have anything. When we went to the little Colombian cafe and we sat down and we talked.
Batidos.
We did have batidos de maracuya. Oh, you taught me a word, wasn't it? Chuchi?
Parchita.
No, chuchi is Rosa Valiles.
Oh yeah.
Parchita.
Parchita. I knew there was a
passion fruit, no?
Yeah.
I knew there was a ch in there.
Yeah.
But you talked about, fashion as when you talk about what someone's wearing that people don't remember what you had on, but they remember that you looked good.
Yeah, that's right.
And that really resonated with me because I don't really remember even what I ate yesterday, but I can remember if someone gave me a compliment or, it's a lasting impact that you have.
It is.
And I can imagine as well as in your job in New York that it was like the impression that you gave them and not necessarily what specific blazer you were wearing or what shoes you had on or anything like that.
No,
so
it was really the impression of... I think what shifted was that I looked like I was taking the job really seriously, and I think for work, I think that is one of the most important things that the first impressions that you can give is that you look like you're taking it seriously, that you respect the people that you work with, and the people that you're serving also in your position. When you show up and you are dressed up for those occasions, it's a sign of respect. And showing up like you rolled out of bed is not a sign of respect. It's kind of like you don't really care about this job. You don't care about your position or the company or whatever it is that we do here. You don't care because you wouldn't show up to a special occasion in your life looking like that. So why do you show up for work looking like that? So
I think you can take it even a bit further. So apart from someone looking good, from a guy's perspective, when you analyze it, let's say you just look at a guy that comes to work dressed well, but then like you see in maybe some accents or accessories that it looked like they put thought into what they're wearing. So maybe like they're wearing, I don't know, like a orange bracelet that goes well with what else they're wearing. Maybe they're sneakers or something. And then for me, that communicates that they put thought into it. So you can think how much thought they put into work or other stuff. They're people that are detail oriented. They pay attention to those things. So I think it says a lot about you for sure. Looking back, and a story that you made me remember right now, based on what you answered, was that when I was growing up, I went to Colegio Urbano. I was in my teenage years. Everyone goes through a phase, but me especially, since I was much more like obese and insecure, I remember my whole wardrobe was just black, dark gray, or navy blue. Anything that I bought, I was keeping in mind that I wanted to conceive like any outline that I could. So it was mostly dark clothing. I remember my parents, whenever they bought me white shirts or anything, I just wouldn't wear them. And then right before I graduated colegio, so the last year, I lost a ton of weight, maybe like 20 kilos, 25 kilos.
Oh, wow.
And then I moved to Spain, study abroad. And then for me, it was like, obviously no one knows you, so you get to like reinvent yourself. And then for the first time, you get to, I don't know, live in cold weather. So you get to play with layers. And I bought like all these trench coats and scarves and everything. And it was awesome.
Amazing.
Wearing boots and stuff.
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah,
that sounds
so cool.
really
No, now I'm back
cool.
here, so I can't wear anything that's double layer, or else I'm gonna sweat.
You sweat a lot. Okay.
Sí.
Yeah. Okay.
But you can wear more color now.
Sí, for sure.
But it's very smart that you had that that you knew to wear those colors to creates the illusion of what you wanted to create, because a lot of people don't know that as well.
What? So choosing darker colors?
Yeah.
For example,
It's good that you had that you knew what to do and work with what you were, because that's also the struggle, is that people don't know how to dress the body that they're in.
Right.
So yeah.
What's that? I want to ask you for a tip.
Okay.
Sorry, no. I know she doesn't like this, but it's such.
Oh, here we go.
No. It's such a niche question that I think you didn't get enough to be annoyed.
Let's see.
How would you help a guy that has big thighs dress? So bottoms, only bottoms. What type of jeans or pants do they buy? Say it. Because it's something, the home going back, me and toevallig like a friend, it's just like a genetic that you have, that if you go to the gym and you buy jeans, so either it fits good at the waist, but then like, it looks like you're wearing skinny jeans or leggings, And if it fits good there, then it's just like too big at the waist or at the ankle. So like getting pants is just tricky.
So this question is specifically for men that work out and have like thick thighs because of they do a lot of leg training.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm gonna say is that
why are you laughing? Why is this so funny?
I thought of bell bottoms.
No.
I know. I'm just kidding.
Now, for example, if you look like on Pinterest or TikTok, it's like in that you wear like
straight
baggy pants, you know, or looser fitting pants. But if your legs are big and you wear big pants, they're gonna be very, very
no, but
massive.
I feel like when we talk about illusion, I don't want to give away what I think the answer is gonna be. But it's all about illusion, right? And so the insecurity with thick thighs is maybe that you have smaller calves and that it starts like big and maybe goes small.
Okay.
So like the illusion would be to try to straighten it or streamline it, perhaps, that it doesn't look like your legs are being constricted in skinny jeans, but rather like that's like maybe what I would suggest, but I'm not the stylist.
I mean, look, this is, I'm going to give the same answer that I gave before, and this is not a niche question.
It's not? Really?
A lot of thick-thighed men have asked Ali.
It's not, because there's a big generation of guys out there, a lot of men that like wearing tight pants, you know, and I'm going to go back to what I said on another podcast. I want men to stop wearing tight pants.
Yep.
And just wear pants that fit well. They do not need to hug your body in any way, shape, or form. If you find your pants that are too big, where you're like, it's kind of loose, a tailor is your best friend. A tailor is your best friend for length and also at the waist. If you want to look well, presentable. For men, dressing is a little bit different than for women. For men, it's there's rules, actual rules. Women can bop and weave out a little bit more from their rules and fit something that's more to them. But if you're wearing a suit, if you're wearing a polo, if you're wearing pants that show your calves or whatever, or your ankles, for men there are rules about what shoe to wear and what's coloring appropriate and what, you know. So a tailor is your best friend. Do not wear tight pants.
You know, funny that you say that. I don't know if it's a guy thing or just me, but I've never been to a tailor other than when they have to fix a suit.
It's not a you thing.
Buying pants and then taking it to a tailor. I just, however it fits when I buy it, that's how I wear it. It is the
number one. It's one of the things that any guy can do to level up on how they are dressed. I see a lot of men that wear clothes that are too small for them. And I know it's hard to find clothing for guys here. There's not a lot of options. A lot of guys shop online because of that. And then they end up buying clothes that are too small. I would suggest sizing up rather than sizing down, and then get a tailor to fit your body.
I started doing that when I moved back to Aruba. So I started working. And no one around me did that. Like, I would go with bags and it would be small tweaks. But I'm very perfectionistic in that sense. If something doesn't fit me right, I just won't wear it. I'd rather not wear it than have it look or feel ill-fitting. But yeah, anyway. But I totally know that on the island, for men, but also women, I don't know if there are that many stores out there that provide a lot of good options. And I feel like that's one of the things in Aruba when it comes to retail. I mean, I work for a retail company, Tradewinds, and I really like what we provide, but I'm biased in that sense, you know, because I'm a buyer. But I think outside of that, it's hard to find good places on the island to shop. But I also think it's not just what the merchandise is that they have, but the entire experience of going shopping. And so I'd love to like go into that a little bit because there's a whole psychology behind retail. Right?
She's really excited for this conversation.
Tell me more. What do you know about
it? Well, what do you want to know?
Going into that, so she knows much more about the psychology of retail than I do. I just knew like one fun fact that I threw at her. But I'll use that to build on the question. So you probably know a lot of psychological tricks in retail that influence people's decision to buy. So when you walk into a store, for example, one thing that I think I saw in a YouTube video that I remember is that, let's say, quatro store aqui, Bershka, for example, or maybe even Zara, H&M, these stores, most of the time when you go to buy or pay, there's a long queue. And then when you do the zigzag in the queue, they put like all these small items, you know?
Little knickknacks.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're probably fidgeting while you're waiting your turn, and you just like walk, follow the queue, and then play with them, and you're most likely to grab and buy one of those.
Yep.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
She's not gonna tell you no.
But the supermarkets do it too. Think about it.
Sí, sí. And bubblegum, Tic Tacs, tipo de cosas así, 5-hour energy, all those things.
All the supermarkets are, how many things are on the cashier counter?
Exactly.
It's just like, it's overwhelmed because it's the last stop before you head out. You
so,
know?
like, apart from this trick, what are some other tricks that you know in retail?
Well, one of the things that I'll share this. So, when I'm shopping for clothes on the island, I go everywhere. I go to places where you would not expect that I would find something, but I'm going in with a mission, you know?
Right.
I'm going through every single rack. I'm like beeline straight to the rack where I know I could find something. So I'm like, you know, boom, boom, boom. I don't really care about the aesthetics or everything around because I'm looking for clothes that are going to fit this person or this project or whatever. But when I have moments when I have to go into the store with my clients, there are some stores that I do have to prep them, you know, and let them know, hey, we're going into the store. It's a little messy, right? It's a little messy. We're going into the store. It smells a little funny. Okay. So I just mentally prepare them, but there is a dress I want you to try on in there. Right. So things like that is what really messes people up. You know, it could be too hot. Right. And that people just don't want to stay in there too long. You don't want to try anything on because it's too hot.
So then the psychological tricks that would influence people to buy would be to take all the senses into account. So
absolutely, you got it. You hit it right. That's it.
You're such a genius, Maro. It's almost.
She fucking told me. She told me.
No, but that's it.
It's almost like you just woke up and you became a retail expert.
I pulled it out of thin air.
Yeah. Yeah. But for anybody, no. But this is it. Any young person, anybody who who wants to open up a new store, a brick and mortar, or even if they have a little back room in your house, right? Think about how you're going to set the mood for your customers coming in. Yep. Is it the right temperature? Is the lighting correct? Do people look beautiful under the lighting? Do you have a mirror that people also want to see their full bodies in? Does it smell okay? And smell is one of the things that I have a very sensitive sense of smell. And a lot of places you go into, and I understand a lot of retail stores do not have areas for their employees to have lunch. So what happens is that employees will have, you know, their lunch in the store. So you could walk in and it could be smelling like anything, a mix of all the different foods that everybody had that afternoon, right? So you walk into that, which is, it's not pleasant. And then there's the music, you know. Does the music fit the vibe of what it is that you are shopping for? Does it put you in the mood for shopping? Or does it put you in the mood to go clubbing later on at 2 o'clock?
Right.
Right? And then are the people friendly? Are the people there accessible, you know, and knowledgeable to help you when you are being asked, when you ask for help? Not that they're walking behind you and stalking you.
That is one of my biggest pet peeves in retail.
So there are a lot of things that affect how people spend.
Not to deviate too much, but the last one that you just said. So when they're well informed, that you can ask questions. I don't really ask questions when I shop, but I do feel that when I go to restaurants, the one thing that makes my experience so much better is when you ask the waiter anything about the menu, and they just know everything. You know, that just makes it so much better for me.
Well, that I feel like that is goes without saying, because like if you're allergic or if you don't like something, if they
You need to know.
you need to know
No,
what's
of course,
happening,
but
right?
trust me, there's a lot of waiters that also
That don't know.
But
But sorry.
Jinx. No, what were you gonna say?
No, what I was gonna say is, I think I forgot.
Oh, okay. Shall I jump in and maybe it'll...
Yeah, go ahead.
So what I teach, because I do onboarding for all of our new hires
Yeah.
within the stores, and customer service is my expertise, I would say.
I didn't know that.
You didn't?
Not Kupatasi onboarding. I didn't know.
Yeah. So,
Oh wow.
so I would go one step further. Product knowledge is very important, but it is not the most important aspect of customer service, because that's what you're talking about, right? You're at a restaurant, you need them to know and have a specific answer. What I always tell them is we have so many products in our store. I do not expect them to know everything about everything, but the way they respond says everything about customer service. So instead of immediately responding with no or I don't know or like, instead of being like, oh, ask her, you need to have that sort of taking initiative and being like, I'm not sure, but let me find out for you. Or let me go ask my manager real quick and I'll be right back. And so it's all about what you do and showing that you're proactive in finding the answer and finding the solution.
Correct.
And I think there's a lot of passivity right now in in retail, where they really don't care. It comes back to caring, right? And the effort they put into helping you.
Well, it's a difficult job, being in retail is, because I also worked as a sales marketing manager and managing different stores here on the island. And retail it's one of the hardest jobs that I've done. It pays little. It's thankless. You are there for hours. You are there for holidays. You are there on the weekends. You might be there on Sundays, depending on where you work. And it's just, it's very intense. But yes, there are moments where you're just like, oh man, the customer service really, really, they need to really work on that. My pet peeve question is, si bota buscando algo especial. Because it's a limiting question.
Yes or no.
And a lot of it's yes or no, right? And then sometimes with retail, I find also that we've lost that beauty of like shopping being a leisure activity, right? For women, you go together, you could have a drink or a coffee, and then let's go roam around in the store. We've lost that sauce, that magic of letting people loiter and kind of like hang out and just look at pretty things, right? Because that's what also shopping is about, is going out and looking at pretty things and being inspired by those things. And so online shopping, I think, is one of the things that we lost. Yeah. Right? Is that ability to wander around and stumble on items that we didn't know that we needed, right? But we bought because we saw them. And that question is limiting, because no, I'm not looking for anything special. But maybe I'll find it, if I stay in here a little longer.
It's all about the conversation they have and building a connection as a sales associate, that if you do have a question about something, you come back to that person and don't feel like you're being watched or, I hope you enjoyed the experience in our stores, because that's really something that we try to make sure that they can just like browse, and especially because we're located in hotels. I was always afraid we have so many things, but what I've come to find is they actually like the experience of every time they come back in, they find something new. And so they're just kind of, like you say, browsing, but almost exploring the store and liking how obviously visually it's merchandised.
You could just let your mind wander a little bit, So it's nice to have stores that you can just go in and do that. It's really cool.
Why do you feel like Aruba has lost that?
Ooh, that's a loaded question.
It is a bit loaded, but I had to ask.
I think it's a combination of things. I think that we underestimated back in the day. I think we underestimated the impact of us as a community leaving the island to shop. Because once you leave the island to shop, right, you go to Orlando, Botabay, Holanda, you go into these different places, you are experiencing that psychology. They are throwing it at you, right? They are wooing you in the stores. They are with the sales and the color and the merchandising. They're doing all of these things, right? So you go there, you shop, you have that experience, and then you come home and you don't get that same experience, right? So you are kind of like, I'll just go shopping. You don't really know why. You don't have an answer. You just say, so no tayo nada, right? But it's deeper than that because you have been wooed by these other stores, by these big brands that put millions into what the store looks like and the flow and how the crowd is going to move through and what's going to make you feel good and all that stuff. So there are some stores that I know, like one of like your stores and more stores on the island that are focusing on those things, but it's not enough and they're not all in the same area, right? To generate that we went shopping vibe. Right? Because everything is so spread out. You have to jump in your car, go to this place, jump in your car, go to this place. Or what people are doing now, they're just scrolling and then they go into the store. Do you have this? And they grab it and then they walk out. Right? So there's a lot of things. But it's not just in Aruba. Shopping has changed all over the world. It's not the same from what it used to be in the early 2000s or pre-pandemic.
Yeah, true.
It's not the same.
But
it's not.
I do think even though you think COVID is the reason everyone's online shopping, I would almost argue that people are craving more of that brick and mortar visiting the store experience. That they've been out of touch with people for so long that they're craving that let's go do something, let's go shopping, let's go. And what your answer about most of us on the island go abroad and we've created this link of like we can only find good things and affordable things when we're in the States. It's sort of we neglect the potential of retail on the island. And I'd almost also argue that retail is not even considered our main pillar of tourism, for example. It's always hospitality and hotels and restaurants, and so you don't really think about retail.
Yeah, as retail, I really feel like it's an industry that has it's been neglected a little bit. You know, people kind of look down on it. You know, you're standing in the store. What do you do all day? People don't really know what retailers do.
True.
You know, they don't know all the things that go into opening the store, closing the store, cleaning the store, inventory. They have no idea. They have no idea that if we have this cup right here that hasn't been selling for maybe a few weeks and then you move it to another location and then guess what? Boom, it disappears. Right?
Oh my God. Yes, we have that. You know what we have so often? We'll have everything really organized.
Yeah.
And in the store, they'll go, you know what? We're going to move it to a different section.
Yes.
But we have to put it messily on a rack so we can move it. I swear it moves the quickest when it looks messy on that rack because people assume it's a sale or I don't know what.
Yeah.
So when it's all neat, they don't care.
Yeah.
But once it's like being moved around, they associate, oh, this is new merchandise. This just came in.
Yeah, maybe new, or maybe there's just like like energy, like
something's happening with it.
Human something, a person touched this. This means somebody else wants it, right? So it might be good. So it's stuff like that, you know? So yeah, retail, honestly, I have a huge love. Like I really love all of the people that I meet, the ladies that work in the stores, how passionate they are, you know, about their jobs. And so yeah, I just want to say that.
Cool. No, I love that.
Let's dive deep into production styling and commercial styling.
Yeah.
Foral, you mentioned that, for example, when you go to the States, all these big brands are throwing $1 million investments into research with branding and commercial towards you to like pull you in and make you shop. So like especially when you go to the States and you're just walking, let's say like at a mall or something, it's like the photo shoots that you see outside of the stores. Like if a model wearing like a super cool outfit that you say, that looks so good on him, let me go see what they have. So based on that, what would you say, could you break down what good production styling is for a photo shoot? For a brand, for example.
For a clothing brand or for...
I'd like to start for a clothing brand.
Well, you know, it's... for me, it's about storytelling. You know? It's about... Because you're not... What people need to realize is that we are no longer in the phase of selling products. Nobody's selling products anymore.
Not even with clothes?
Not even with clothes. You're not
Tampoco.
selling. You're not selling clothes. You're not selling products. You're selling aspiration. You're selling dreams.
Lifestyle.
You're selling lifestyle. So it's really it's storytelling. So if you decided today that you wanted to come up with a brand of a t-shirt, right? Okay, no sabes un t-shirt, pero what's the story behind it? Why do you want to do a story? A t-shirt line. And let's take periódico for an example, right? His brand, to me, it's all about it's a little bit about shock, right? It's periódico, like we all know what it means. It's a lifestyle, right? He kind of like he walks it as well. And so you really need to find your niche, that story that you want to tell, and then use your t-shirt to sell that story. It's not about products. So to answer your question, the photo shoot has to support that story of what it is that your product is. What is the dream? What is the aspiration? Who is your client, first of all, right? So are you targeting men? Are you targeting women? What type of woman are you targeting? What type of guy are you targeting? Are they young? Are they a more mature group, right? So people are also a little bit afraid to be niche, but right now niche is in and it's important to separate yourself from the big brands that are pushing millions, but the story is what it counts. And any
an example that comes to mind, that I feel like selling a story and a lifestyle is with perfume commercials.
Correct.
Because that's really not something you can't smell the screen when you see it on air, right? And so it has to be impactful. It has to make you want to be on that boat with that shirtless guy, and you don't know what he smells like, but you're like, damn, like
this looks nice.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like that's where storytelling is really important, right?
Yeah.
With things that you can't maybe physically touch or smell, or that would be important.
Was that thinking about it? Ecco, è dopo difficile. Come do we advertise un producto that is completely based on smell, so scent, via television, via content, kung hindi ko ni sample it. So it's basically on the vibe that you're giving of a feeling.
It's not easy. It's not easy, and especially if you're just doing it pa bende t-shirt, right? If that's what you're into, then also I respect that. I respect the hustle. Go for it, right? But if you wanna create something that's more impactful, that has meaning and story, and that you can, and once you have a story, you can also continue to build on that, right? Maison Rayon also is a very perfect example of that. True. That has a story, and he understands what his product is, and the dream that he's trying to sell, and he puts that effort into every single thing that he drops, you know. And Tangerine is also another one that has a very, very beautiful story. Bula has a very beautiful story. So we have examples on the island of people that are using that story and building on it.
Yeah. As sorry.
Mi sto pensando po sopra. Mi sa di Rayon, por ejemplo. Pero ora ando di Tangerine tame, pero kigo te story ko abato ak por ejemplo di un Bula.
Well,
of it, a lifestyle ko nanda bende.
Correct.
A Caribbean beach
surfer.
There you go. Forever young.
There you go. That's it.
I got it.
You got it. You're
but
a
you
fashion
see,
expert.
you see how good they are at it because
Yeah.
you just know
Yeah.
you know what they are about.
And that also means that every time you're like, oh, I need like a rash guard for the beach, or I need to go do some sport activity outside. Maybe you think of going to Bula first because that's like the association that you built with the name.
Even like we got in Corksicle pa by beach was algo así na Turicone.
We do sell corksicles at Trade Winds. Just dropping that in there.
I'm more of a Yeti guy.
So, oh damn.
Okay.
what I was going to say was, obviously you're a personal stylist. You also do commercial styling and production styling. Has there been a specific project that you've done where you really felt like your styling impacted the shoot or the project?
It has to do. I've felt that way. This is what I want to say. I have felt that way in commercial styling when there is a story again, right? When there is a clear story of what they're doing. I'll take one for example. It wasn't a commercial, but it's a music video that I did for Cross Heart a few years ago, and the director and the guy who was directing the video, he sent me the briefing, told me exactly where they were going to be shooting, who the person was, and sa kita ng Holanda.
Wow.
And I'm in Aruba, and where he's sending me a text, and he's like, Ali, like we need help with this, like we don't really know, and I'm like, okay, send me what does who is the person that's going to be in that scene, where are you going to be, what's the song, right? So they gave me all the information, and the Biaha, I had it, and she ended up wearing a not a leotard, but a body suit that had like these huge sleeves, like a bolero sleeves, almost like in the minty green, almost like the color that you're wearing. And they asked me what she should do with her hair, and I'm like, no, she should just be barefoot, and her hair just would be loose, and she's gonna be in that room. And when you see it, it's so simple, but it fits so beautifully with the vibe of the music and the music video and just everything. And so stuff like that, it's just so good,
Fills you with pride.
Yes, to see the whole thing come together. Another one, and that scene is still in my mind, that I did years ago with Ken Wolf, and a story by Rosabel Ellis, was for New India Assurance, where they had like all of these children that were kind of like acting like adults, talking about insurance. And in the styling, you also see the styling really, really connect the story and help tell the story. So those are the ones that really make me feel, it's so good, because we're not selling. It's not about the product. It's about the story, and the clothing is meant to support and help tell that story. So when I get opportunities like that, where I'm presented with the story first rather than a product, those are the moments when I'm like, yes, this is going to be
so
great.
It's not that you are the one with the story, but if they're clear enough on like the bigger picture,
yes,
like a puzzle,
yes,
you're able to fit your pieces
That's
in, and
right.
it fits perfectly.
Then I'm talking to you about it, and it gives me goosebumps, because when that synergy happens, where everybody is in line and understands what the story is, right? Then the communication is just so beautiful, and it flows, and you can see it also in the end, how it all came together.
Okay, I'm gonna challenge you a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
So Julia just said that if
someone has thick thighs,
let's go. I accept the challenge. Challenge accepted.
If they give you the big picture, so busa ko ma-deliver a message ng feeling ko nang buscando, right? But if it were up to you, so let's say you have all the power to make a dream commercial could represent Aruba's fashion identity.
Ooh.
But even the big picture is totally up to you. So you're not being handed a project, you have to create it from scratch. What would that dream commercial look like for you? Are you challenged?
just processing.
I am challenged because it's very broad. It's not if they presented me with that, I would just be like, I don't know. But let me maybe I can segue it this way. So I have a little page on which I haven't worked on in a very long time, but on my website, it's called the Edit. And that is where I use moments where I can talk about Aruba's use fashion to tell Aruba's story.
Okay.
Or my story, or use fashion to talk about things that I want to talk about, but use fashion as that vehicle to have that conversation. The last one I did was for a birthday shoot, actually, that I did for a friend of mine when she turned 40, and we called the shoot, we called it 40. And I used her photos and dressed her and styled her in a way that showed her beauty and showed her she has like some like white hair that's like starting to pop out, and rather than hiding those things, you know, we just kept it. We didn't Photoshop them or anything like that, and photographed her in the morning sunlight on Rogers Beach, and then use those photos to talk about what it means to age.
Nice. Wow.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Right?
I get goosebumps.
Right? And so that story, so that is what I like to do. Taking topics and talking and using fashion to have those conversations. The most impactful one I did for me, which I did during the pandemic, almost like 5 years ago now, called Azul. If you haven't seen it, you can go on to check it out. But during that period, I imagined Grapefield as a wintry beach, and we photographed it that way. Like, so seeing it again in the morning light right before the sun rises.
It's like cool lighting, right?
Yes, and we used Shakaina as a model for it, and she had like really snowy eyes and snowy wengbro, and
I think
you may have seen
it
it,
sounds
right?
familiar.
You may have seen it. Right?
Have you seen it?
I've not.
So I used that opportunity to talk about like how I was feeling about Aruba in that time, and how I was not really happy here. I was really, I felt like I was completely disconnected from, you know, the bright side and the sunny turdia, you know, the let's be happy, let's be joyful. I was in a period in my life where I was not really vibing with all of it, and then, you know, then the pandemic happened, and for most of us, you know, we were I don't have to tell you, we all know.
Yep.
So I did that photo shoot to talk about how we were all feeling and how I was feeling, and so yeah, that's what I would do.
It sounds like you should not wait for other people to give you a story and you fit into it. I feel like you need to start making more of your own stories.
I have a few, you know, I saw, thank you for saying that. And it reminded me of, I just saw Armando over the Himno y Bandera. He posted the view of Aruba. Did you guys see it with the drone fly over Aruba video? Very, very beautiful. And when he posted, I think the day after or yesterday, he posted a thank you, because I think it got like 50,000 like views or something like that. Like, but it's amazing, you know. And one of the things that he said is that it felt so good to work on his own project again, and that really spoke to me, because one of the things is that as a creative, like once you start doing commercial and working on other people's projects, your own projects always take a backseat. Especially if this is how you survive, if this is how you pay your bills, right? Your own projects nanta bien ko gasto so nanta bien ko basta inkomen. Dus nanta tuma they take a backseat. But when I saw him say that, I'm like, oh, yes, I can totally resonate with that feeling of, and I have so many of those stories that I want to tell.
Yeah.
Over the weekend, I was, again, Himno y Bandera, I heard this song, Dalia. Do you guys know it? I'm not going to sing it because that would not be appropriate.
We'll look it up after.
Yes. But he, the singer is talking to Dalia, telling her that, you know, el mundo no te pabo más, agora que a uva vira bieu, right? El mundo que no te pabo. And it's music has a way of, when I listen to it, I create images in my head. It helps me create, I connect with it in such a way. And I was like, oh my God, that would be such a great like story to to photograph and kind of like contradict what he's saying with some fashion, you know, like.
I think you know what your next project needs to be.
Basta di mi banda I think it's cool pues mitawag so pintor nan por communicate lo que nanta sinti de pintura of cantante nanta sila de cantica pero a manera ko ba describe kung ba logra communicate lo que ba feeling tame through like a shoot unda ba style tame. Shekina, it's what a literally an artist na lo ko ba asi.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Super cool.
I need to tap into that a lot more.
You should. You definitely should.
Yes. Thank you for asking that.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome, serio. Mi na pensa di walk it through like an artist perspective, was that?
Yeah, and another one that I did, an ode to a head wrap, which was the one that actually, you know, Rosabel has been a major, she's one of my best friends and major inspiration. And, because at the time I was wearing a lot of head wraps and she was like, why don't you do something with a head wrap, you know, take some photos or do, and people were asking me to do a class on like how to do the head wraps and stuff. But I wasn't really, you know, I was kind of like, okay, I don't, you know, playing with like stuff in my hair is something I've been doing since I was a child. So I don't really know how to teach that,
and
you know.
how to make it like technical.
Exactly. We know extra como say. Pero then I decided, okay, well, let's do a photo shoot, you know, and that is what started the edit, because I gathered a bunch of women that I found to be extremely beautiful, inside and out, different sizes and skin color and hair texture, and we just got together at the butterfly farm. And took some photos, and to this day they are on my website. And every time I see them, I'm like, "Wow, this is actually really good." Wow.
I think you definitely should make more projects. And basically just take on other projects.
And you know, I miss magazines. That's what I want to say. I miss magazines. I grew up in an era of magazines, and magazines really taught me a lot. They taught me how to dress. They taught me how to write. They taught me how to advertise. Because I was that girl that my parents would buy magazines for me. Teen magazine, 17 magazine, Martha Stewart, Real Simple, all of those magazines. I was the one, and I would take them to school, and I was the girl that had the newest magazine, and the girls would like pass them around. Come over your shoulder. Yes, you know, and everybody would come read. So I was the girl that had those magazines. And so editorials are a huge part of magazines. Well, back in the day, not as much now, but that is where also I learned to communicate those messages. Through images. Right? Through images. You know, it's like being in a museum where you see all of the great arts, and in the magazine is where you see them. And in this day and age, images, we kind of see, they're gone, they're here today, and the next swipe, they're gone. True. You know, we kind of like forget them. So I wish that we had more of a place where we could have those,
más tangible.
Like an archive, physical.
Más tangible. Esa es la palabra. Que nos provide and to have those, look at those pictures and have conversations about them and the meaning of them. And because it's not just a photo that we see on our phone to double tap onto sigikana.
So,
you know?
I know we should probably round off now. But
yeah, we're completely gone.
1 hour and 40. We probably
should. 40?
Yeah. Yeah, we probably should. It'd be a good idea to keep that anecdote for the next guest. Let me get it.
Wait, but are you okay? Wow, damn! I did not realize that.
No, I mean, don't get the glance, and I was like, oh, pero no. I mean, a conversation the bonus. Me to say, hey, by the way, guys, 1 hour. So, but karon sa bisa nos goal tata hora.
What are the questions you have for me? Let's go.
That was
we finished them. We
were gonna round it off.
Okay.
We've just been going.
It became more conversational, and really tapped into like certain things that you were feeling. So we want to let you talk, and you know.
Okay, great. Okay.
So I just wanted to add on to that. Yes. That I think we're just such visual people.
Yes.
And I think now what you mean with like having your phone on social media is that like we've adapted photos into what can we sell. What's quick? What's like, oh, what will get me likes? And so it's not about what message do I want to share, controversial or not, well-liked or not. And so that's what I think is what you're missing too, right? That things can be ugly. Like editorial shoots, a lot of times we look at like high fashion models, they're not the gorgeous, pretty, like picture perfect Instagram models.
It's not like
see,
a preppy thing,
No.
like overly produced. It's overly produced, but everything has a reason and a meaning. It's not for views.
Right.
It's not for likes.
It's for the message.
Yes. And that is where I feel also where fashion, I think, also has taken a little, left turn. We need to tap more into like the why. Why am I buying this?
The intention.
Right? Yes. The intention of why are we shooting it this way? Why are we choosing this color?
Yeah.
Why do we want the logo in this area? And why are we putting these words on the shirt, right? How long are we going to?
Absolutely.
So I want us to go deeper, especially as a community. When I look at bijvoorbeeld our carnival t-shirts, like every single group, I would like there to be a study on how many t-shirts we throw away during carnival
because we don't like
season.
the theme and what's on it.
Right? Nosta compra miles of TDFO. Right? How much are we...
Of man just so you just buy it to like put it on.
I didn't want to say it, but... Right?
I said it.
So it would be good to have that study, and I would really want carnival groups to really think a little deeper about the t-shirts that they are putting out there, and let them become collectibles.
Nice.
Right?
That's a cool idea.
They should be a collectible. See, ami tawata din Carnaval 71, antumi aha e t-shirt aki di e banda aki di e grupo aki. Ami tine. Right? That's special. Because that means that you were there. But that can only happen if the t-shirt is a good quality. If the design was actually also a design that is kind of impactful and thoughtful, and they hired artists that can do wonderful drawings or come up with anything that has more thought into it, rather than just be a t-shirt ko por identificar en hindi ng kuta din grupo si of no, right? Dus paku carnaval, that's what I would want to see. I want there to be more intention with the t-shirts that ko bonota ko wong bankibra, bandekora, bankiko kiko y después batireo fo.
Yeah.
Fashion is the one of the industries that produces the most waste around the island, around the world. And we are adding to that by every single year. I'm sorry, I'm preaching right now.
No, I 1,000% agree with you.
I feel like it needs to be said, because every year we're doing it more and more and more. And I would love to see us come to the point where these t-shirts become collectibles, and that people are also proud to wear them after Carnival.
Yeah.
Because that's when you know your t-shirt has made it. When people choose to wear it after the season has wrapped.
Ended, yeah.
Right? So yeah, I want us to be more intentional about the work that we put out there for fashion. In Turskina, the fashion, retail, design, all of it. Let's be more intentional. Let's do better.
I think that's a beautiful last message. Just live life with more intention.
And you know what? My first workshop that I did as a stylist, that was actually the title of it. Dress with intention. That was it.
Love that. Live life with more intention, guys. Dress with more intention.
Ali, enjoy it?
No,
did you have fun?
Did you have fun?
I had fun.
Okay, tablong.
Did you have fun? Honestly,
I loved it.
In all honesty, I wasn't expecting it to be this fun.
Oh, look at that! Because it's fashion.
No, untigi.
He literally said, like, you're probably gonna take the reins because fashion retail is your thing.
Is your
yeah,
thing.
but we were laughing nonstop, and I was vibing. I enjoy it.
Okay.
You must see a basagos.
Okay, well, that's good.
Just
I'm
have to
happy
be
to hear
open
that.
with the conversation.
I'm happy, and this game was really fun too.
Yeah,
yes.
you liked it?
Yeah, this is great.
Good.
Thank you for having me.
No, it was
Thank
a
you for
pleasure.
being on the
Next
show.
time, vamos a hacer un part 2, nos está skippa level 3 Cuba de Biano. So más
Part
from
2, I think we had it all part 1 to 5 in like this 2-hour episode.
Nos saca para pregunta 3.
I think we need to end it with like level 3, the last one.
¿Cómo que ven?
Reflection.
¿Agua?
Yeah.
No fucking way, nos llega 2 horas y nos hace
Well,
cosas.
what's 2 more minutes? If someone made it this far through the episode, do you think they'd want to hear the final question and answer?
Nothing un final question, there's like 50.
No, pero
mira,
un
sí,
sonang
escucho.
escoge, ¿no?
Huh?
Un sonang escoge.
Okay, Ali.
He caved. It
Should
has
we-
to be level 3.
It has to be one of these in the
One
back.
of number 3, so.
See, the one.
Oh, in the back. Okay,
You see the-
I'll be quick. Let's be quick with it. Let's go. Let's go quick.
Go for it.
Okay. I'm scared. How would you describe me to a stranger? I love this.
Ooh.
How would you describe me to a stranger? Mauro, go.
Mira, si vos usa fashion, é cheating, pues é com descriptive. Dilo que botas así. So I'd say you're a bubbly person that's fun to be around, and I'm not cheating, but I would say based on the conversation, not stealing it from you, I would say you live and do many things with intention, from the way you dress to the projects that you execute.
That is very kind.
Top that shit.
Listen, I feel like I can.
Okay.
And I'm going to keep it general but impactful. I think in whatever capacity you would be interacting with this person, whether it's in your job or outside as a friend, I would describe you as someone that would add value to their life.
Oh, look at that. That's so
Top that.
sweet.
I still think I did, but it's fine.
No, you guys are honestly, you guys are really great. Thank you so much for having me.
No, the pleasure was ours.
Yeah,
Wow, we
absolutely.
didn't got any más carta, but
We're done.
You knew. Sorry, I started that.
yeah, because you opened Pandora's box. But
No,
it's
we're
fine.
done.
I
No,
We're
opened-
wrapping it. We're
no
done.
worries.
I'm
So
calling
you're
it. I have to go.
You're coming back for a part 2.
Yes.
Deal? Okay. Guys, thanks for Tewo. We really appreciate it. Ali, it was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you
Yes.
so much, guys.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Honestly, we've been receiving a lot of love over the past few episodes that we've released, and it makes us more excited to want to create more and have more guests on and cover a variety of topics. So thank you guys for tuning in.
Ciao, guys.
Bye.